name is Michael Berta, the architect from Mr. Carlacci. So, just to give you the members that weren't here last week, or 2 weeks ago, we have an existing ranch on at 35 Court Mill. It's 1950s vintage. It's, as you can see by it, I'm not sure why there's a double door on it, but whether they were going to convert it into a two-family or something. But you can see by the existing elevations it has not been touched from the beginning. Our game plan is to keep the existing house. We're going to be adding a new front entranceway and new front steps coming down. We've done, if you notice on the original, the steps actually came out the door, went this way, spun around, and then went to the driveway. So what we did is we flipped the stairs to make them a closer walk to the driveway when we are also adding a new front entranceway. The current deck is right here where we're pushing it back a little bit. And then we're the existing sunroom that's on the house now, we're going to be knocking that down and creating it into habitable living space. As well as pushing a small addition out to increase the size of the master bedroom. And then downstairs we're going to be finishing the lower level as well. So, for those that were here last meeting, I'll just remind you of what we came in with. All right, and we took your comments and the neighbors' comments to heart, and what we did is we came up with this. We reduced the scale down tremendously, as you can see. Now, the roof pitches that we have here have all been lowered to within 1 pitch of the existing roof pitch. So maintaining the scale as best as we can, given the fact of the height of this. So the other thing we did is to lessen the impact of the steps that's needed, which is a 7-foot elevation change, a grade change from the driveway to the door sill. So what we did is we're going to lower the foyer inside 2 steps, and therefore reducing the amount of steps needed on the outside.
Were you doing that before?
No, we weren't. By doing this, what we've done is we had, in order to try and lessen the impact, you came out the landing, you dropped down 3 steps to another landing, and then out to the driveway. By doing this, what we've done is we increased 1 step coming up, and we lost those 3 steps in the middle. Therefore, we're actually able to bring it in another 2.5 feet. So when we go to the zoning board, we're going to be asking for less of a variance than we did. I think we're a little over 2 feet less of a request. But by doing this, and then with some of the landscaping that we're going to do here, we're hoping that it's really going to lessen the impact of what you see. And then by lowering the roof pitch, it's not going to be as monstrous. We decided also to change the color of the siding to get it away from all the other houses. So the colors are close, but unfortunately in printing they're a little off. We have color samples that we could show you the actual James Hardie colors. It's a fiber cement siding all the way around. We have a smooth bottom shake with a fish scale up here, or scallop. So that's the front, and then I'll run you around the rest. The rear elevation did not change any from the last meeting. That was actually pretty well in scale. So what we did is this is the left side with the big blank wall that was there before. What we've done, in order to maintain some privacy in the bedroom, we went with a little bit of a higher glass. Okay, just so that it's somebody walking, the neighbors, because this house is located off to the left side of the property for some reason, it's not centered in it. So what we did is we put a little bit of high glass in, and then over on the other side, we took the kitchen and we pushed it out a couple feet to create a second relief here, just to give this a little bit more. Plus we put this window here, I'll show you on the floor plan. That window is there, so that when you walk down this hallway, it's centered on the hallway, you can look straight through. Just so as you're walking down the hallway, you're not looking, you have a little bit of light to follow to. And now that we're here on the floor plans, you can see, as this is what I was explaining, that we were able to bring this back in. And we lessened, what I did also is I lessened this. If you remember, I had a secondary closet over here. We removed that closet so I could shrink this, the whole width down 30 inches. Also reducing the scale of it. Everything else pretty much stayed the same other than we did the bump out. It benefited two things, quite honestly. It gave the outside a little bit more of a character on that side, plus we were able to get a much nicer kitchen.
Even for the island.
Yeah. Unfortunately though, it's gonna cost Mr. Tavolacci a little bit because now we gotta rip all the framing out and redo it. He'll beat me up later for that. And then everything else stayed the same. This was the existing the same bump out that was here. The bump outs are here. We're using them, they're a little high, so they're smaller window seats. They come out 18 inches, just enough to get a nice little seat on it. And downstairs, we were a 4-bedroom house. We removed 1 bedroom upstairs to make them a little bit larger. We're putting this bedroom in here, and this is an existing egress window that's here. We're just gonna replace all the windows and make them a little bit nicer. Everything else, this is underneath the new sunroom that we're knocking down to get rid of that in the finished family room. The garage is staying the same, and this is underneath the master bedroom bump out. We're just gonna use it as storage for the bedroom, or for the garage, or for the house in general. This was also something you had asked for.
Yeah.
It's also in your package. So, you can see the roof line, we have our bumps here, and then this is it, and then we have our new addition over here.
Okay. Can we see the blue, just if you have it handy?
I'm sorry?
The hardy plank?
Yes, absolutely.
This is the old one.
That's the old one. So the old one's in this packet?
That's the new one.
Well, it says wood deck here.
Right, it's still with.
Yeah, the deck is still
He
there.
bumped out the kitchen here. That's
Oh.
the difference in plan.
This is, that's actually gonna be the siding color,
Oh, okay.
okay? It's a little bit, this is a little bit deeper,
Yeah.
where if you look at this is for whatever reason in the printing process at the print shop,
It always happens.
yeah.
Okay.
So what it is this is gonna be this, and then they have the next shade up. Say also hardy, that we're going to be using for the scallops.
Are you doing the whole house? You reskinning the whole house?
Oh, absolutely, yes sir, yes sir. Yeah, you can see right now, this. You can see these are the existing.
Yeah.
You see how it's much wider plank.
So I wasn't here last time, but you did a nice job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you did a terrific job, it's much big improvement.
Yeah, it's good improvement, so.
Thank you. Hit me with the stick once and I'll come back right.
Oh,
Appreciate you
I
doing
missed
that.
that. Anyway,
I think it's a lot nicer.
yeah, that's good.
Yeah, thank you. And then, in the package that's in front of you, the 11 by 17, there's I took Google shots of the neighbors' houses as well as we have them here. Plus then we've got everything in there, I believe, that you were looking for.
It's good.
Perfect.
Thank you.
It's good by us.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Now we need to keep these outside.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, I read it. Ultimately, this is pump up.
It's not attached to us.
Yeah, that's what, and it doesn't address architectural.
Is that because you have room for Ed?
Bill,
It's a decision.
that's the USB stick. I know you like to have them.
Yeah, that's the only reason I come here, is to get my flash drive back. Hi, how you doing? you saw the rear addition we were doing related to this a couple months ago. And so this is the same house, we're adding a mudroom on the front to where is an existing porch. So if you have other pictures here. Sorry, where is that?
I know the house.
In this photo of the front of the house, there's a covered porch off to the side between the garage and the house. And and so we're filling in that covered porch with a mudroom. We're actually then bumping it out by 3 feet from the face of where the face of the existing garage is. So that's that mudroom bump out there in the perspective.
You guys, this is for some work for the rear of the house, right?
Right,
Yeah,
just
oh, so this is the bump out.
correct,
It came in the same time, just so it needed a ZBA variance this part.
right.
So you
We
applied
had to get
separately.
a variance for that, so we've gotten the variance for the, for that mudroom, so, and given the architectural report. So that mudroom in the front there is what we're adding on. The existing exterior wall is this wall, and then there's a archway here that we're taking out and then expanding the porch that's there forward to create this mudroom.
You lose that window though, right?
That's right, we lose the dining room window on that corner.
This, you lose this.
That's correct. There's a portion
Can't
of
fit
it.
anything in there, it's too.
Yeah, it's too narrow.
You know, it just, there was a certain amount of charm to this arch and, I don't know, I just think you've lost the charm. Is there no way you can recapture charm? I'm not kidding, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not really being facetious.
No, I wouldn't, I know you're,
You
I know
know,
what you're
with some
talking
sort of
about.
articulation of the mass that had, you know, that it just,
Cause it feels a little blocky.
yeah,
it
it feels a little
does. Feels like
blocky, especially because it's replacing something that, you know, again, had a little articulation and charm and, I don't know.
you don't have the elevations on here.
I can go get the other permit.
Well, I have the,
Oh, you have that?
yeah,
I
just
mean,
a,
part of it, you know,
I
I
thought
do
it was
kn-
strange that you.
I do know the house.
yeah, so I don't know what happened.
Is there any other?
I think Rich stole it.
I did, I put them
He
in.
peels them off and uses them for other stuff. So here, sorry, there's that elevation. Now, I
Yeah,
mean,
but the
we could try to, you know, apply that arched,
Well, you're also
Element.
going in and out there, you know, like if you look at the, I mean, maybe you're not doing yourself any favors with this,
With this.
with the perspective,
Right.
which makes it look like it's kind of a,
If you understand
a
that.
jog and it doesn't show the shutters, I mean, it look, like this over here, you know, you're seeing it going in, I can't
Yes.
tell there that it does.
Right.
You're showing a little arch there, the arch is in
Yes.
here. I would, actually, you have it trimmed out along the opening and here you don't, you know, so.
What are those lines there?
siding.
Siding,
The vertical.
no, yeah, no,
Oh,
It's
no, he sh-
the inside.
Yeah,
said-
so the
he sh-
doorway cuts in, right?
right, but he's not showing any,
Any of the
Yeah,
trim
he's not
on
This
showing
is
it.
the,
Yeah.
yeah, this is the, right, that's,
So I
the door's
think that-
Better
recessed,
to
right?
I think that you,
You
when I
never
said you
show
have.
them.
Oh, I see, I see,
Yeah.
oh, the
Yeah.
little thing there,
Right.
What's that?
You never bring them.
The perspective? Lately we have.
Oh, you
been.
really?
Yeah, so
So-
you guys saw
But the
the
thing
video
is,
before.
Some of the
Okay.
charm that I'm talking about that's missing actually is in
Is on
that.
there.
Right.
I mean,
So
you
go like
have it
this one.
trimmed, well,
That's the
Well,
complete
you
picture.
see-
But you're saying this is incomplete though, so we really
Right.
can't judge that.
It is deceiving.
I mean, I could
So-
take a pencil to that and make it into
Yeah.
that, but it isn't
Well, it's the
doing
same
it
house,
yet.
so you can-
That's correct.
He can actually
And,
submit this
you know,
as-
no, I know, I understand, I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm
I
just
didn't realize that wasn't on
giving
there.
you a hard time because that looks okay, that's exactly what I
Okay.
was talking about.
Okay.
What do you do, there- so the roof that
I mean,
comes
you're
there,
not
is that,
doing the
you just
ordinance and
having a
anything,
different
so-
piece attached to it?
Yes, right.
So you're
It's
just flattening it out?
slightly flattened out to get it out to the same.
There's no way you can keep it the same, it gets too low, I guess.
No, right.
What vintage is this house?
1937, I think it is.
Actually,
No, I'm sorry, that's another house.
No.
62, 63 or something like that,
Nineteen
sorry.
sixty-three?
Yeah,
Oh,
right. It's a very, you know, it's got nice, I mean, we don't show
It's a nice
all
house.
of the articulation in terms of the front facade. It's got the coins
Yeah, the corners.
all up the corners. So, so are you therefore satisfied that we have that
Yeah, I mean,
arch there? I mean, that's the intention,
with the trim and stuff like
with all the
that.
trim.
Yeah, I guess so.
Is there anything on the corner, you putting any, there's coins on the corner?
Yeah, not the coins, no.
Anything, is it trim, is there, I can't see what's.
Yeah,
what's on
just the
these corners?
corner, right, it's
Just
the
corner
same
boards?
corner boards, really, right. Yeah, this has very elaborate,
Yeah, that's nice.
it's like 16-inch wide coins on it.
I agree with Sarah a little bit.
I mean, I think that,
It's fine.
yeah, the actual elevation is more or less acceptable to me.
Okay.
But what were you saying, that you could extend this arch,
I
even
mean,
though
it-
that arch is inside?
So it has this exterior
Right.
arch, we could apply it as an
I mean, because it's kind of a
applique.
nice little.
It would interfere with the shutter.
Yeah, and also,
Yeah, then it's,
and then the door would still have to be
Because that part's not
recessed somehow,
recessed.
you know, so
Yeah.
I actually think that that's a
With the
reasonable
arch
solution.
At least the
over
door
that
has
doorway.
I think it's fine.
Yeah,
Because this is where it happens here.
yeah, this back inside.
No, actually, that piece will be out at the front here.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
it
happens
So you-
this.
better, yeah.
Kind of
so
the
that's-
same,
yeah.
kind of
So
the
that's
same concept, you know,
Yeah,
you're
but
walking.
just-
Right,
through
it's
that.
just
okay.
reduced in
Yeah.
width.
So that's perspective, my apologies, threw you off.
I'm not, I know why you're doing, this is a whole function of a mudroom and bench and everything that you wanna
Right.
fit in there. I just think, and not knowing if this was a 1960s house or an 1860s house, I mean, I think it has a nice kind of federal massing here and a connecting piece here.
Yeah,
And now we're suddenly kind of making the middle connecting piece a little more prominent and getting rid of that window, which, you know, there's a real
Yeah, all the symmetry.
nice moment
Sure.
when windows wrap corners like that.
Right.
And we're kind of losing it. And,
Right.
So I'm, you know, I know.
but the existing porch is only 5 feet wide, so it really just becomes a corridor if we try to make that a
Right, right.
mudroom.
No, and because there's a breakfast room right there, right?
Right,
You know.
so, pulling
Yeah.
that out any bit would create, that window has to go. There's one point we looked at a little shallower bump out and
Right.
moving the window, which I think would be
No, you wouldn't.
more of a
do that.
mistake
Yeah.
to move it closer to the corner than just eliminate it.
It's just the drawings don't really show it. The drawings, because of the way it's drawn, it doesn't come up, there's no depth
The
to it.
depth, you don't
and
see
I
the
think
depth,
that
sure.
kind of, that's why it
And,
doesn't.
and you know I always ask for it, but the roof plan, you've got some really odd connections
Yeah.
there.
That break in the roof,
Not just the break, but how it meets the garage
yeah,
gable. I mean, I don't even know, I'm not even sure what I'm seeing there.
yeah, I think this is probably not drawn quite correctly, it should be down, I mean, the fascia will match, this will be the same line coming all the way through.
Okay.
This, matching the garage roof line.
Is the heights the same, so then the roof
Yeah.
is it totally flat then? How do you,
So this,
No,
are you feathering it up? I mean,
it breaks, right? So
Probably right at
This
the-
line, it's a
at that
shallower
gutter.
pitch.
but
much
then,
like that
but then does it
perspective
meet
view.
that in an odd way, that,
No, I think it's the same line, I mean, although it's
Right.
further forward, so, yeah. I mean, in some sense, that doesn't quite represent, the idea
so
would be it's
we're
the
gonna see
same.
the side of the rake board after it passes
Correct.
that corner.
Correct. I mean, the existing house is all hips, so all the fascias and, all the fascias wrap around, whereas,
You know, what's weird, it's not just a rake board, it's gonna be an angled rake board.
correct,
That's
right.
really kind of bizarre.
right. Although in some sense of what we had to do on the rear, you see that, although we improved from the way that was originally done,
Oh,
they brought that whole sort of, almost like a gable piece out.
are those even shingles?
Yeah, on the roof there?
Yeah,
That's
Corner
asphalt
shutter.
shingles.
yeah. Yeah.
So in some sense, the compromise is having a shed roof attached to this otherwise hip roof house. So where we have a shed roof projecting out past, we need to have that rake board.
So it's kind of a variation of this basically in the front,
Correct.
but
Correct.
smaller.
And if you have it, I'm certainly happy to hear any brilliant suggestions, or even not brilliant suggestions.
Yeah, I don't have a better solution unless you just solve the problem somewhere else, but you can't do that, that's the logical location.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is.
I mean, it still articulates three pieces. I'm not crazy about it, but I understand why you're doing it, and it's not a 19th century house.
Yeah.
So it's a 16th house.
Right, yeah, that would be an entirely,
So,
When we come back,
Problems.
they want to add to the other end at some point, and there's gonna be this nice curve, we're gonna repeat that. This on a piece on the other end of the house, so we'll get to bring it back.
they don't do it all at once?
No,
No.
they're much into, all right, we'll do this piece now, we're gonna do this piece later, and
Alright.
you know, keeps the architects employed, I guess.
That's good, that's good.
true.
Okay,
All
we're
right.
good?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I
Paul.
get the 201, or you gonna get another copy of that, or you gonna?
Well, you can have this.
You can have it, thanks.
Ah, sorry.
I think you gave it to me with the other one, but not with this one.
Oh, okay. You want any of these?
No,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, have a good night, thank you.
I just read an email,
My email.
Yes.
Because I wasn't sure if it's happening or not because of all this.
I know,
I called Dave, actually, after I saw the
Are you officially on it, or?
It's not yet.
Let's
We're
talk
talking
afterwards,
about
she
it.
gave me an application, so.
Hello.
Hi.
It's actually the owners.
Yeah, he's not supposed to be
Yeah,
I actually want you to, but not
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Now
me.
that there's a new
That's for me.
board,
Okay.
They have, don't they have their,
Yeah,
yeah, they have their drawing.
well, they have, is there anything else you need? You're gonna bring everything else with you?
So these are like neighbors, and this is the house.
Where's Orchard?
It's, when you're over at Mount Kisco, if you come down Crow Hill Road, and you're going to Mount Kisco, right before you go underneath the sawmill on the left-hand side is Orchard Road.
It's not a whole lot of in our town.
Yeah, and it's actually, the property is half Mount Kisco, half Chappaqua, but the house is in Chappaqua.
So these are neighbors?
That's neighbors, yeah. It's a big property with a pond, it's set way back. It was Bennett Cerf's house.
Oh, the children's book?
The, What's My Line, he was the, he founded Random House.
Yeah, I thought he did children's books too.
He did children's books, and his big claim to fame was, he was one of the regular, people on What's My Line back in the early '60s.
So which house is?
Oh, well, this is the house that I'm.
Oh, it's this one,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Those are neighbors,
These are all
Yeah, so
No, not Crow Hill, you're going down 133?
Right,
And
you
then
said something about Crow Hill.
Well,
he was just,
if you came down Crow Hill and you head to Mount Kisco,
Oh, you make
right
the left.
before you could,
Okay.
you know how you take that right and you get on the sawmill?
Yeah.
You take the left, and on the west side of the
Okay, I know
sawmill,
what you mean, yes.
there's a
okay.
road.
Yeah.
And that road is
Gotcha.
Orchard Road.
It's the one that goes to
Yeah.
the,
It doesn't, no, it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
oh, it's not the
Devon
one
House?
that goes to,
that's
It's-
Crow Lake Road.
That, yeah,
Croton Avenue.
This is the house?
no.
That's the house that we're working on. I mean, it's really, I think, minor what we're doing. We're
Nice house.
putting in a mudroom door with a shed roof, and we're changing a single French door to a double, and we're changing a family room double window to a bank of 4 windows. So that's all we're doing on the outside. It's mostly interior work, but you can take a look at the elevations. Yeah, so the things that you'll be looking at are that on the street side, which is that side, there was a mudroom door and a window, and we're now putting the mudroom door in the middle of the gable with a little bracketed shed roof. So that's the front. And in the rear, there was a single French door that we're making a double. And then in this room, they had a single and a single, and we're making, 4 windows. So what's happening here is, like I say, it's mostly on the inside. So on the front of the house, there was a door and a window.
This one?
Yeah, and actually I drew over it when I was
Right.
talking to the client. We're just moving the mudroom door over and giving it like a little roof to make it be subservient to the entry. That's on the front. And then on the back, this was a single. Yeah, we do. Yeah, I'll tell you when you get to, or maybe I could.
It's
I
not,
could-
Should be, it's this.
Why don't you,
That's the front, no, that's the front.
yeah, why don't you throw the pile over to me and I'll pull out the ones that, yeah, okay. So what we're doing here is, on the back, we're making this become 4 windows, which is this. And then here. And then here, we are making this a double French door.
Okay.
So it's not anything that's gonna get me into Architectural Digest. It's just a new mudroom door, a double rather than a single, and, 4 rather than 2.
Fine to me.
Yep, yeah, and it's all like in the style of the house. And I actually have a second one here.
Sorry. Over a good one.
Glasses, glasses.
So now this is more in the heart of Chappaqua, this is on Upland. This is the Chisak residence, this is, overlook Upland Connection. And here we're extending a garage over, pushing out a kitchen. Oh, actually, that was.
Did you bring all those
Yeah, I have that stuff. Okay, so this is the existing house. And these are the neighbors.
This is killing me, this is my dream house.
Oh, that one, you like that one?
I love that house.
Yeah, it was built in the 30s, early, not like 90s.
When that house was for sale, I had this fantasy that my husband was gonna win a lot of money playing poker, and we were
Yeah.
gonna buy it.
The colonial or the?
Yeah.
It's very beautifully articulated. It's just,
So hopefully we're doing it justice.
I don't know, this is all stone, and there's these corbels, and it just has a nice presence.
Yeah, it's very,
And the lawn is
okay, so let me
Yeah,
orient
see
you
the
what
back.
you're gonna look at here. So, so this is the, facing the street. And right now, there's a 2-car garage here
Yep.
that has 2 garage bays. And what we're doing is kind of cloning it and moving it over and shifting the doors. That's gonna allow us to put a mudroom door in and convert 1 bay of the garage into a mudroom. And then we're expanding out with a kitchen. There's a porch over here, and we're sort of somewhat treating it the same way. And then there's a little bay window in the breakfast room back here. And then you have a gable, and then you have stuff here. So that looks like. And then upstairs where there was like a roof like this, and we're putting a gable on to grow that bedroom. So from the street, the garage was here, it was garage door. So we added a garage bay over here, doing carriage style doors. This roof comes down and has, it's a 3.5-foot bracketed overhang with brackets. And then this is the 1-story addition for the kitchen. So on this side of the house, there's a porch with a railing, and we're coming out and we're putting a railing to match over here. So that's the front, and then on the back, this is on the second floor where we're coming out with a gable, you know, for to expand a bedroom, and the kind of polite back of the garage.
That back here?
Yeah, so actually we throw that here. So what we're doing here is where, you know, you have that gable. So what we're doing is we're coming over and kind of creating that gable, and then this building is, you know, coming up over here with a couple of windows that I'll show you in a minute. So we're just, you know, that's what,
He's like Mr. Isometric.
yeah, so that's what.
That's a good way to show
Yeah,
it.
so that's what that is. So this is really, you know, kind of
Something
talking,
back.
yeah, that, and then over here, this is becoming, we needed a little bit more room in the breakfast room, so we're gonna do like a little rectangular bay, which is this, in the breakfast room. And then, on the, I guess we call it the north side, you know, this is just, you know, the end of the garage, you know, so this is the bracketed roof. That's the, you know, other side of the kitchen with a, you know, railing to match the opposite side of the house. And just a gable end with a double window up here, and then in the garage two, you know, generic windows.
My comment again, you.
Yeah,
Can you pull apart the
I-
windows?
I
and take the
actually
shot?
told them,
Pull
well, you know
apart?
what, well, you can't pull them apart because this is a slope and you start at 0 and you go to whatever, so you don't have room. And
Is it shut
I
up
told her, I said,
inside
I'm not
the
gonna, I told her, I said, I should draw it without the shutters. And I told her, cause I didn't wanna
Oh,
get in
no.
trouble with you, and
Where does
she
the
said,
back of
is
the
she
house?
paying for it?
Where's the back of the house? at?
What?
Where's the back of the house?
Yeah, okay.
Are there shutters in the back or not?
Yes, oh, look. Yeah, there's shutters in the back.
Is every window in the whole house are shuttered?
Yep.
Except for one?
Yep. So I try to proactively address that, but they overrode it.
Alright.
They said if you
It
pay
seems
for
odd.
if you pay for that window, they'll take the shutters off.
Oh, what?
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, you know why I had issues with it.
Right, because it's not authentic.
Well, it's just not.
Shutters, they were meant to be functional, that you would close them.
They'd be
So when,
proportional to the window.
so when you put it on a double window, it's faux.
They'd be proportional
Yeah,
to the
yeah,
glaze.
yeah.
Alright, I'm all.
So that's my one big one.
Okay with that?
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Good luck. That's your set, right? Yeah. Thanks.
Replacement of existing sign, but. So the existing sign's probably nicer.
Oh, Nordic therapy? I know.
I go there all the time, I mean, I got, first of all, I go there all the time. And I like the
consider a sign.
I was like, yeah, no,
Is it a new owner? Must be.
What?
Must be new
no,
owner.
no, it's not a new owner.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
The owners, the sign company, or?
Oh, this is for muscle tissue restoration.
Right.
Yeah, they're the owners.
Either
This
one.
is just the sign company
Yeah,
that did the
North
sign.
there.
Now you got
The
it.
old Nordic therapy.
Who are you?
Yeah.
Ashley and Ola from Nordic
Yeah.
Therapy.
Oh, you're from the place.
The original
Sometimes we
Nordic-
get the sign people.
Oh, okay,
That's like-
no, they didn't
Okay.
come.
Usually the retail.
Oh.
Right.
Is this-
I guess they changed.
It's just the name change.
Do you know what the sign's made of, what material?
It's a metal, 3mm thick.
Aluminum.
We're just
composite.
going over the wooden, the old wooden sign.
Is there a picture of the
change
old
the
pic-
monument?
There is. Old,
Kind
okay,
of.
so it's kind
Yeah.
of going It's going literally like right over that.
Yeah.
Is this an engraved
It's
wooden
like an
sign?
insert.
It is.
Is there a reason you didn't do kind of a similar sign to the one that's there?
We just want a
I just
different
wanna
look.
change the brand, just to have a different, it's more of a, I have another office in Darien, I wanted to keep it consistent for both. 'Cause
Did
it's,
you give any thought to having a wood engraved sign in your colors with your logo and everything, your font?
No logo. We wanted it more just
No, I'm saying it
gray.
can look the same,
So
but
you just
instead
want
of
the
having,
materials.
instead of flat metal with just peel off letters, it looks a lot richer in the community to have these wood signs that have engraving with natural colors.
right. Yeah, I mean, they recommended that, cause it was just kind of an easy layover. He said the appearance of it, cause it's not gonna be shiny, it's gonna be a very like dull, kind of
Like a
flat
matte
look,
finish.
matte look.
Who's he, sign company?
Sign.
The good John from Signarama, yeah.
Unlike the other people here, I know how, because I know Olaf and I know him well and I know his business well. I know
Yeah.
how much the appearance of your place means to you and how much work you've put into the design of it and
Right.
the construction of it and how committed to it. And I always assumed that Ashley had a lot to do with it too, although I don't know that specifically. Cause he's told me a lot about the artists and the workers and people who've, been involved in
Yeah.
it. And I would say, really frankly, including as a customer, that you're taking a step down with this sign and you owe yourself better than the sign that you're presenting to us. It's not as nice
Because
as.
of the material, or?
The material, as well as to some degree, I mean, Anne is sort of our graphic design expert, she can speak to it too. I think that there are probably some design issues as well, but the materials alone.
But you said you have an office
In Darien.
and it's using the same.
Well,
Is this-
muscle tissue
Logo.
restoration is what
Yeah,
we do there, and we're trying to not have Nordic anymore. It's not.
Well, you're trying to modernize it.
Yeah, and not be. We're not a day spa, so it's like.
But this
Just
look,
changing
the
the
letter
brand.
style, the T's taller, the type, is that your, I call it
That's
logo,
their
but is that
logo.
your?
That's,
Yeah.
that's
Is
their
that your-
logo.
I mean, does your sign in Darien look like that, or is it just the material, the information on it that's the same?
No, it's just simple. It's just clean lines and.
But is it the same
Do you have a
logo?
picture? Is it a photographic image of this? Does it look exactly
No, because
the
it's
same?
in a building, so it's
I
not
don't,
like
so
a.
they're designing that one as well,
Yeah.
but it's just simple like that, so.
I mean
Did
that.
somebody design this versus script versus I don't know what versus, how did these letters get organized in this fashion?
It was just advice from the web designer that we used for the new website.
But I'm sorry, but this is your logo then?
Yeah, there's really no logo. Like how Nordic had like that emblem. We don't have that.
No, I know,
logo
but you
anymore.
can consider this a logo.
Mhm.
That's what I'm referring to this as your
Right.
logo. Is that what you're using in Darien also?
Do you have
That
a
on your
website?
website and everything?
It's not. It's just
Yeah,
not. We
it's
didn't launch
almost,
it yet.
it's almost about to be launched in a week or so. But I just wanted to be clear on what the service we provide is, instead of like having it confusing. Cause I'm a manual therapist and we work on people, break down connective tissue, it's
Yes.
confusing for a
More
lot of
medical
people on
oriented. It's not like
what we
a.
actually do, so I just want
their
to
brand.
kind of have one thing where it's very easy to understand and to give it a brand. MTR, kind of like ART, like active release technique.
If this is your brand graphics, it's one
Yeah,
thing,
then that's it.
it's
Then
okay
it
if that's the
is.
case. If this is
Yeah.
the first time you're trying to organize this, we would probably have suggestions, but if you're already ingrained with it, then we wouldn't challenge that.
Right.
But we might challenge the simple metal, not so beautiful sign, and we might ask.
But I mean,
you-
it doesn't have a luster, it's very flat. It's just kind of like something that's very plain. And eventually I'm gonna paint the building to match it,
Yeah.
you know,
Change
so.
And
Okay.
are
The
these
building.
raised or are they painted on, the letters? The graphics?
That's not paint. It's not painted. That's just like an actual. We felt the texture of it. It was like a.
It's like
Yeah,
a decal,
so-
like a peel off decal.
So they're-
No, it's like a piece of type of metal, and it like is just inserting inside of the black.
Just attaching it to the
Oh,
over
I'm
the
talking
wedge.
about the black.
The letters on the,
I think it's just made out of that metal
Like composite.
design that they. make.
But is it printed on the one surface? Basically, what we want to know if it's recessed, if it comes out, or is it
It's
if
like-
it's
it's
flush
not even
with the
that thin.
surface? Is it
Not
painted?
the
Basically, to
aluminum.
understand how it's.
It might come out like a little bit, like a few millimeters, like maybe 3 millimeters out.
You don't know.
No, you're talking about the aluminum
This
the
letter,
background. We're talking about the black.
the letters.
The letters, the
Are
MTR
there thin letters
and
that are
the
put on
master.
it?
Is that painted on?
Is it just
Is
a die cut?
vinyl?
Is it paint? Is it?
No, it's just
It's
like
a
matte.
composite like stitched into the metal of the sign. It's 3 millimeters thick.
You
It's-
rub your fingers on it? Is it flat?
So
Is
it's
it
all
rough? Is it?
You could kind of feel it, yeah, it's just,
So it must be like vinyl lettering
Yeah,
or
since you
something.
can just feel it, right? It's
Or
probably.
Yeah.
is it etched? It's not an etching, it's not like,
It's not like this.
well, I asked about that and they
It's more
advised
of a-
against etching because the color is black on the lettering. So I asked about,
Problems in the
Oh,
you know,
the
etching it in and they
Oh, it's
said,
like
you
next to
know, we
Julia's
advise you to,
I don't even know if Julia's has the sign.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
I mean, I don't
There's a
know.
bicycle shop right
Right,
there.
there's not a really,
I think Julia's has something on the window or something.
But-
He's gonna
it's sort of,
Oh.
Nordic sign was like done by someone in like Massachusetts that actually like engraved the
Yeah,
whole thing.
yeah,
It
yeah,
did, it was a fiasco, like trying to get that done. Fine, but it's
right.
like the thing is like what he does now is very more medical based. There's no, we're not. In
No, I
the-
understand you
yeah.
wanting to
Very,
modernize
it's very
it.
like a
It
simple.
just feels a little big on the piece, you know, this,
You mean the
70
font
by
seems a little
20.
thick?
well,
I could make
no,
the
I
font
mean, because
thinner.
this is your brand, you're using it across different platforms, cause you have it on
Right.
your website and you also have it on your Darien. I'm talking about
you
this
could show
whole
that
piece,
website.
maybe you can make it a little smaller, so it's a little bit more elegant in the space.
Contours on the lettering, or?
No, the height from the bottom of muscle tissue restoration to the height of this T, maybe you proportionally shrink it a little, so there's a little bit more aluminum around the side, it'll just make it a little bit more elegant.
Oh, you mean the T, the taller T should be all the same?
Not just the T, the whole, I'm
It's
saying the area from here to here, all this
Yeah.
black, if you just condensed it a little, not
Or
just the
make the
height,
MTR
proportionally.
smaller,
Yeah, I
proportionally
mean, obviously
smaller.
it has to be proportional, cause this is now your logo, you said you're using it in Darien, you're using it on your website.
Right.
Actually, I think the
Just-
three words are also so close together, there's not enough space between the three words for me, right?
The 3 words,
Muscle tissue restoration.
I just thought if that's their logo, you know,
It's just that like
hard to say
MTR is
without-
hard to say because that's if we just wrote muscle tissue restoration out and not just like the MTR, it's like too much information. So it's,
oh no,
it's
you're
hard.
saying there
We
needs to,
understand.
would,
Yeah,
He's
it's
talking
like,
what
about
Bob
the
was saying, there
space,
should
make
be a
it
little more
smaller.
space between the word muscle, the word tissue, and the word
and just
tissue.
space it.
That
There's
there should just be a little bit,
You know, you're driving by the road and you get this much
it
seconds to
looks like
glance
a
at the
long
sign.
word
When
instead
you
of
look at
three
Well,
words.
this looks like one word.
There's
one big
actually
word.
plenty
Okay.
of space
There isn't.
between the E and the R, it's really the E and the T.
Okay.
Plus, like, we could shrink that, you mean,
Just make it smaller.
could shrink the text on,
Now, Bob is saying that the word spacing should be a little greater, even though I think there's plenty here, but this is a little tight.
if we shrink it, then it'll be further apart, right?
Yeah, but, which means you'll have to shrink it a little.
We can do that.
But
That's
I'm
fine.
suggesting shrink the whole thing, not the size of the sign.
Right.
Shrink what's in it
The lettering.
Right.
a little, so there's a little bit more air.
Okay, so I can condense
And
and
then
thin out the
increase
middle?
this a little.
Sure, can do that.
But you didn't hire a consultant to help you with the rebranding yourself or?
Well, I think the web designer
The
did.
web
The
designer,
web designer did that, but is the web designer's rejiggering your website and how it flows and how it looks, but you know, there's a conscious decision of what, you know, font you're gonna use, how big it is, you know, what the size of it is on the website, what the size of it is on your business card
right,
and letterhead and whatever, and all these choices, I think, you know, and I'm not saying you have to hire a whole branding company, but I think you have to hire, I think what I'm hearing everybody saying, what I'm feeling is, you know, I've always wondered about that Nordic sign. I could tell it was a high quality, very expensive sign, and I was really enamored with it. But then to see, you know, I thought that you were a different company pasting this metal sign on that, over that sign, and I just think, I agree with Sarah, I think you're still the same company. You know, we're here to keep the quality of the aesthetics in the town, and I just feel that you're missing a component. Maybe you know a friend or something that can help you develop your brand, and the font can be everything with your brand and how that looks. And once that's decided, then it just goes on everywhere. It goes on your other store, it goes on your website. And it sounds like you're very, it's mutable here. You'll say, oh, it just has to say MTR in whatever font is available. But I think you got to go beyond that and make it consistent throughout, and that reinforces your brand. So if you're telling me you want to rebrand yourself, I really think you got to step up for yourself, but also
Make it a wooden sign, you mean, as opposed to the metal?
I think just the
gray
way
is
the font is on the font that's chosen, how it's spaced, everything Ann is saying is it's a very conscious decision about you know, a company's look and logo, and it tells a lot. I mean, if I knew that was the same company, I'd say, oh, you know, it's a sans serif font, they're trying to modernize and do something else, and I hear everything that you're saying too.
Right.
But
I think we're suggesting two different things. One is the graphic design of what you see,
The
and the
lettering.
other is the material and style of the sign itself.
Right.
Not just a flat metal with die-cut letters sign compared to what used to be there is a big step down in aesthetics and quality, we think.
So I could just go wooden.
Well, let's back up a sec. When you're talking about aluminum, I mean, are you talking about an aluminum finish? It's actually gonna be like a kind of metallic look?
Oh, it's like matte. It's like a
I think it's a
No, it won't
brush.
be
Which is-
shiny.
I think it's a
yeah,
brush.
like
Not shiny at all, it's just flat.
It's what?
it's painted.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, it's
It is
painted aluminum, so it's like a
It's
gray
like cool
paint.
gray.
It's just like a matte finish, no
But
shine.
it's an actual
Like
aluminum
color,
composite.
unless
The
somebody proves
material is
otherwise.
aluminum composite.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, you could do a nice thing where it's a brushed aluminum, and then you could have some raised metal letters or something, but.
Yeah. I mean, I asked about contours and the lettering, he said because it's black, that wouldn't show up. So, I don't know.
But you would get shadows if you had some elevation
Yeah.
to it, you know, you'd get,
We like to
Yeah.
have some
you'd get
texture to the
shading,
sign.
you'd get.
We didn't want to go with that shiny look. That's because the lights are always on it, and I don't like that shiny, glossy finish. It wasn't
Yeah.
like.
Okay,
That's okay,
okay,
that's
that's okay.
okay.
Yeah, I was trying to get at.
Like if it's
what the-
rainy out, I don't like that. I don't know. It's just that look. It's a
That's
shiny
fine.
thing I don't like.
No,
but-
and I know you really care about how things look.
Yeah.
I know, which is why I'm sort of trying to keep the commentary at a high level because like I know that you guys like care and that you
Yeah.
won't be
Yeah.
happy with something
been
that
a
doesn't
long
come out
time.
that doesn't come out looking, you know, like sort of high level.
Yeah.
I know that, and that's trying to. That's why I sort of started off like I took the first step
Yeah.
because I have that sense
Right.
going into it, and it's a compliment I'm trying to make.
Right.
Thank you.
Um,
It is totally different than Nordic. I mean,
right, it is, and okay, here's the
a
thing.
little masculine, more masculine.
Absolutely. But I think all of us are sort of saying that as it doesn't have, that the whole logo itself, there's two issues. One is that the sign sort of seems a little bit kind of stripped down and not so special. And but
Right.
the same thing might be said of the actual sort of design of the logo. That
Yeah.
whoever did it, kind of tossed it off without, I don't know, sort of putting more design into it, is
Yeah,
that?
it's very elementary, it's a very simple thing. Not that simple is bad, so I don't,
But
it's hard
not
to find
even
the
like,
right
so,
words.
that's not even like, I think you're going for something that's kind of, has a kind of muscular strength, which is
Yeah.
and I'm not quite sure it's quite there, that the letters themselves that they've chosen are saying, are strong enough for what you're looking for. Does that make any sense?
So a different font on the lettering,
Maybe.
and then maybe have it in wood instead of a metal? Would that
It's
make a
not that
difference?
simple though. It's just not saying you can change a font, there are a million fonts, if you know what you're gonna come back with. I don't, personally, I don't hate this, I just think it needs to be reworked. But
She's
it
Feels heavy.
We don't really care about if somebody can read that from the street
but
when
also,
they're
I'm
driving.
just,
Because
this
people
is
come to us
not
because
a,
of the reputation.
But we do too from the aesthetics, you know, to have signs that aren't legible is probably not something we would encourage.
But I mean, when you're driving by, you can't really read it anyway. You just you'll see MTR, you won't see
I know that's where you're
what's
going.
The
underneath.
road is a little crazy, but
You know, I mean, when you're
What are you looking for?
I'm just looking at these colors, it seems odd to me.
Alright, we have a long.
But I know,
meeting,
I
We should
know.
probably move on. So, you know, I guess we'd encourage you to talk with a design person or a signage person or get a little counseling on both the design aspect and the materials and the execution of the sign. And also, when you come back, either bring a sign person with you or bring some material samples or something, because we're gonna ask these kinds of questions about, you know, touching it and what does it feel like and what's the dimensions and, you know,
Right.
even for different design, we would still ask those questions.
okay.
okay.
But it'll give you the opportunity to really hone in on what you want.
Next
you know,
meeting is
before you have to-
February 7th.
Oh, that's
Okay.
yours? Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Ours didn't
Couple
have
of
his stuff,
changes
so I'm
in
sure
email.
giving my stuff.
I think they would restructure everything, I guess.
No. Do you guys need the plans for Sunshine?
They're
If
not
we
changing
have an
the
audience, we
company,
do.
they're just changing the, they're trying to
Depends who shows up.
focus
Yeah, I
their
don't think
business.
so.
When they first
Yeah,
opened,
Are
they
there a
were
lot of
more
people
spa
on
stuff.
There are a lot of people out there?
And now it's much more
Yeah.
just purely the sort of intensive physical therapy.
Hi, how are you? Do we have any other people outside coming? Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, we should get
You want the plans?
Hi, welcome back. Okay, so I think at the last meeting, we heard from some of members of the community and who had some issues and objections, and so we decided to take a field trip. So we all went and met, and thank you very much for taking us around. The entire board came and attended, which was great. And then, I don't know if you know or not, but we met with one of the neighbors and walked some of the adjacent properties. So I think we should go around, I'll start if you want, but I think we should approach. From my standpoint, it is a large project, and so I understand why some people in the area might have some concern because it's a significant jump in scale. It also seems like a quality institution, you seem like you're running a terrific place, and thank goodness I don't have any sick children that are there, so, I think I like to have a heart, and it's a terrific use, and I think it's a nice addition to the community for what it does. I think your architect has done a first-rate job, I think, at improving what's there, and you must have funding to spend some money to do it right, because you're doing a nice job. And from my view, walking through the adjacent properties and trying to anticipate view corridors and other things, it seems spread out enough that I don't see fit to object because of something being an imposition to the neighbors. Even though I do understand why somebody might not want it, I totally understand. I'm in the real estate business, and I know that people who are impacted or people who are neighbors, a lot of people just don't want change in their community. I totally understand and respect it. But still, I think you're doing a good job, and I think it's a good facility, and I would vote to approve from an architectural standpoint what you presented. Next, what's the next?
Well, I wasn't I visited the site with everybody, I did not visit the neighboring properties, I had to leave early that day, so I don't have that perspective. But just based on what I did see here and what I could see and what I could, you know, determine what the property issues were, I would have to concur with Bob just in terms of the design and the placement on the property seems appropriate, and it's seems like it would be a good addition to this property.
If you don't mind, I just want to point out that, you know, this plan was, and design actually was approved, I think 2 years ago in 2015. So the reason why we're back here was because the planning board was asking to take this piece that is here now, it was placed
Right.
here, from this corner right here. It was taken out over here. So by moving it over here, and that was the purpose of the planning board's, you know,
Is that on the
asking
park,
we should do
is
it.
that on the park side? Is that
Correct,
what- yeah.
correct, this backs up to the park.
Right, so it takes it further away from the
So
park.
it takes away, so it gave us less, more trees that we can leave and replant,
Yeah.
and also reduce there was a wall that was supposed to go here of 22 feet and reduced it to 10 feet. And not coming out over here. And we also, the emergency road that goes around is now also closer to the building, to the whole building, because you don't have to like come out over here, go out like this, so you can just.
Well, I've been reading all the background material and going back a bit to realize how you got to this place, and you know, there are parts of it that you know, there's a lot of it that's not our purview, and so I understand the controversy over some of these things, and you know, I have my opinions and I can't, you know, I think that's not what we're here for. But I just want to say that I have done the research and read all about the outside issues. And as you know, I've, you know, participated a little bit in doing some things for Sunshine too, voluntarily on my own. So just my architectural opinion, just with in isolation is, yes, I agree with Bob and Sarah. I think the architect is doing a nice job within, you know, the constraints that he's doing. So that's all.
Yes, within our purview, which is architecture and appearance and how it sits on the property, I find it to be, you know, an appropriate design.
Okay, so from the architecture review board standpoint, you approve from this point.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
No,
This is my boss, my wife,
what's your name?
Judy.
Judy? Speaking? Okay, thank you.
It's her fault, all the counters, everything is her. She had my twins.
You better watch it.
She had my twins.
Thank you again. Bye-bye.
If you don't want to do, I want to ask you what the LT work that you were mentioning.
Some photographs. Just I volunteered myself to take photographs of the kids.
Oh, it was like thinking.
You're welcome.
Can I make a quick thank you comment that out of all of the boards who have reviewed this application and all the complicated processes, the community really appreciates that you were the only board that was willing to meet with the community on site. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.